you ready?
This is Radical TV and we're here at Donington Park for the penultimate round of the Dunlop Radical UK Cup 2011. Ross Kaiser, Terence Woodward and Roger Bromley and Sean Balfe are in the top three of the grid here today, so there looks to be some fierce competition from the start to see who can clinch that title. Roger, you've had a really successful season so far, leading the series as we speak, and you qualified 4th and 2nd respectively for today's races. So what's next for you?
Good grief. It's, people are saying to me, you've got a good lead in the championship, isn't that great? And I'm thinking, yeah, it's ours to lose. And I prefer to be in the lead, but it just feels like loads of pressure at the moment. So what I'm trying to do is focus just on this immediate race and just go, what we need to do is get consistent good finishes, and if we can convert some of those to victories, better still,
And what's the strategy with you and Sean today?
I'm racing the first race, so I start the first race, he jumps in halfway, and then he starts the second. To be honest with you, I think Sean will do the bulk of the driving. I've been in a bit of pain with a bit of neck problems, so we'll have to see how that goes. Hopefully minimise my amount of time in the car and maximise Sean.
Yeah. And is there anyone out there today on the grid that you're particularly worried about?
Yeah. Every other car. Yeah. Oh, that was interesting. Every other car, but mostly Terence and Manhole, who are kind of just chasing us. They're nipping away at our tails. So just need to make sure that we at least within a place of them. We're preferably ahead, of course, but they're both good drivers and they're doing well. So they're worse yet, they start in front of me on the racetrack. So I've got a bit of work to do with them.
Ross, you've had a really successful season so far, haven't you? And you're in pole and 2nd for the 2 races here today. So what are you hoping to achieve?
Well, we're on the back foot a little bit. We're not leading the championship, so it's been going pretty well, but obviously we need to get back up the front. So ideally we need to have a couple of wins and a couple of fastest laps. That's what we're looking for.
And who's out there first today?
Terence is starting today. He's starting the first race. He qualified 2nd, 800ths off pole, so it was pretty tight qualifying. So hopefully he'll have a good stint, and then I'll be in for the 2nd stint. But we've got 5 seconds longer on the stop than most of the others, so that's going to level it up a bit. So it should be a close race.
And how have your changeovers been going?
Pretty good, yeah. Like I say, with the extra 5 seconds, that's a bit extra time to obviously get the belts done and get settled. So it's a time stop, so as long as there's no mishaps or any problems with the belts, we should be able to get in and get changed without any problems, ready for the time to tick down and get back out.
And over the course of the season, who have been the main worries for you, the main competitors?
Well, we've always got the Radical Works boys, Roger Bromley and Sean Balfe. They're obviously always really competitive, and they've done the UK Championship for a few years now, so they're probably our main rivals. We've got Manhau Alos as well, he's pretty rapid now as well. So it's tight. And then obviously when we do the European round, some of them are combined with the UK, so we get all the European drivers as well. So that's pretty competitive.
James, you qualified 4th and 13th for the 2 races here today in the UK Cup. It's quite a big gap between those.
Yeah, 13's a bit of kind of my lucky number, but it wasn't the best sessions, but hopefully look to move forward on that.
Okay, and who are you looking to beat out there today?
Well, I was thinking before we got here the Fergusons, but they're looking fairly quick, so it's always Smithson and Mosley, or Thorburn and Weldon. They're normally around my pace. Obviously Rob and Stuart are a big chunk quicker, and then I'm closer to David and Mark, so it just depends what happens.
And you're racing solo today as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm all on my own, so it's a bit easier to get on the pace again after the pit stop. I don't think the pros will have any problem with that though.
And what made you decide to race by yourself today?
My teammate went on holiday.
So Phil, Radical's branching out even more globally. Can you tell us about the new Indian series?
Well, we're supporting this brilliant new initiative by Makdar Motorsports, which is the I1 Super Series, which starts in India in December, runs through to February in that region, across Abu Dhabi, Singapore, Malaysia. So there's lots of dates through the winter there, yeah.
And it's an area where motorsport is expanding quite rapidly as well, isn't it?
Very much so. I mean, there's two Indian F1 drivers there or thereabouts at the moment. Been in the F1 grid, Narain Kartikeyan and Karan Chandok. And there's many more great talents in India that the I1 Super Series will be supporting.
And what exactly is Radical supplying to the series?
Cars, basically. The series is run on SR3 RS cars, and we'll be supplying the cars and the support for the series.
Brilliant. Okay, and do you think that we'll be seeing any of our drivers out there at some point?
There may well be. Each team buys a franchise of 2 cars, and so there's 9 teams supporting or representing 9 cities in India, and there's a space for a star and an Indian star in each team, so it should be really good.
And what does it mean for Radical as a whole?
Oh, just incredible expansion into that market, really. 30 to 40 cars being supplied in that area is just fantastic.
Jeremy, you've been racing with Radical for over 10 years now. Yeah. What brought you back to the UK series?
I raced in the Portuguese series in 2006, and it's good, but I miss the home circuits. I live overseas now, so it's nice to come back to the UK. Despite the weather, I do like it here in the circuit. So it was just a familiarity. My brother was racing in the series, so I decided to come back to something I was familiar with. And there we go. I mean, I've been here now, so the last 4 years now I've been racing in the UK, so it's a pain commuting, but it's worth it when we get here.
And you have a brand new car as well, don't you, for this race? So how's it running so far?
Yeah, really good. I took delivery on Thursday when I got here, so I saw it Thursday morning for the first time, and I think within the first 2 sessions I'd been quickest. And I did a 7.3 really quickly, and I just loved it from the second I sat in it. So even the seat fitted without having to do anything to it, so it was really good. The car's running beautifully. I took pole in race 1, and I've got second in race 2, which I lost by a 10th, so I'm quite
amazing. So and usually you race with your brother as well, but today you're flying solo, is that right?
Yeah, we're in direct competition today, so he's got the other car, so we'll see how it goes. I've qualified quite well ahead of him, but you can never say never with him, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, we're not at home together like we were when we were children. We were racing against each other, so Sunday lunch might be a bit more amicable.
So who's your money on then?
Me. Yeah, definitely.
Mark and James, you've been racing together for a while, haven't you?
We've been racing against each other for a while, yeah. Well, this year. We both raced Caterhams this year, so yeah, we've been battling away.
And is this the first time you've ever raced in a Radical?
Yeah, second time ever in a Radical. So.
And have you had much time to practice?
I got about 6 laps at the test day, so no. But I'm looking forward to it. Should be good.
And how are you feeling about your qualifying positions?
Not too good, actually, yeah. I mean, the test day wasn't too bad time-wise. We had a bit of a couple of issues yesterday. I think some of it self-inflicted, a bit come off the car, so it was quite hard. But like James, we're ready to get stuck into the race.
Okay. And have the issues been sorted out now?
Yeah, we lost the rear diffuser, so poor old Mark didn't realise and was trying to put quality times in, and it was tough, but he actually put a good time in considering, so hope we can do better today.
And what made you want to come and race with Radical?
I think our Caterham race, we were supposed to race here last week and it was cancelled, so we had some free time and we just thought we'd try something different, and a good chance to do the two driver thing and race with each other instead of against each other.
And who's out on the track first today?
I'm out first.
And what are your hopes about how many places do you think we can make up today?
I don't want to be last. I want to I'll make a couple of places to be good. If I can finish, leave the car with Mark in 12th or something, I'd be delighted.
Phil, right up here at the front of the grid in pole, how are you feeling before the race?
I've just noticed my 17-year-old son has led more laps than I have.
Oh dear, well best of luck for today then. We're here at the front of the grid once again for the 7th and penultimate round of the Dunlop Radical UK Cup. Really exciting stuff. They're getting ready to blast off, so let's get off the track. Roger, you managed to keep up a fantastic pace throughout that race.
It was hard work out there, I'll tell you. I mean, what Phil Abbott is on, I think he's had some kind of go-go juice, but I mean, really, the man's on fire. It's great to watch, and unfortunately, I was a distant passenger. But look, we had to, carry on the race. We had to be in there, and I think bringing it in P3 is a great result, really, so far. And who knows what will happen next? We've been here before, haven't we?
Yeah. Well, Phil looked a bit like he was just miles away from anybody else.
Phil is a genius. For years he and I have had great, we've raced together and we've had great times together. Why he never raced like that when he was with me, I've no idea, but it's great to see.
Terence, you managed to keep up a fantastic pace throughout the first part of that race.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, the car's good. I was just sort of matching Phil in front. Thought Phil was doing well. I expected to catch him, to be honest, so I think he was driving really well. Missed him to go round in procession,
Yeah. And you guys have managed to overtake during the pit lane changeover, haven't you?
Apparently, yeah. I don't know if Phil had a slow in-lap, because I was a few seconds behind him, and then when I came into the pit lane, I was right behind him, so I don't know if he got held up in the traffic or what, but yeah, I think we managed to jump them in the pits.
And what's your position out there at the minute? How's Ross doing?
Ross is in the lead. I think he's just put the fastest lap in, so at the moment, all good. Just hope the car holds together and we come across the line first.
James, how was your first time out in a Radical?
Better than I thought. It's good. Really enjoyed it.
And did you manage to make up a few places as well?
Yeah, I think I made about 4 or 5 places. I think it was good. Really enjoyable.
Brilliant. And what was the most challenging part of being out there at Donington here today?
It's totally different than what I'm used to driving, and aero is something that I'm not familiar with, and I've had to learn pretty quickly. So it's trusting how late you can brake and how fast you can corner, and I'm not quite there, but I'm getting there.
Timothy, how did that go? The first half of the race, you were out there first.
Well, I got off to a reasonable start, was catching up a little bit on the guys in front, and then managed to go off in the gravel at Redgate for a while, so lost a little bit of time there. Anthony, my co-driver, seems to be picking up the pace now and getting us back where we should be, so hopefully we'll finish with a reasonable result and try and do a little better in the next race.
And what position are you in at the moment?
I think we're running 10th. We should be higher than that, but we've obviously lost a little bit of time. I lost a little bit of time, so yeah.
So Graham, as your first time out there with the UK Cup, how did it go?
It was very exciting. Nothing went badly wrong, so that's a pretty good start. Had a good race. The start was okay, and followed Jonathan around for quite a few laps, and he was just getting a little bit away, but had someone to focus on and keep up to. So that was really good.
Brilliant. And what did you find were the main challenges out there?
Well, there's a lot to think about, and so every time you start thinking about what's to come, like the pit stops, your concentration goes. So you've got to remember that you're out there driving as well. Yeah. So, but it was really, really, really good fun, and really enjoyed it.
Starting in earnest.
Guys, you had an absolutely fantastic race there, and from P2 up to first. How did you do it?
Well, I think it came down to the pit stop really. Terence drove a good first stint, hung on to Phil, kept the gap between Roger, who's our sort of main competitors in the championship, so we were ahead of them, which was the main aim really. And then we just seemed to have a good stop. Obviously I was getting in the car, so I couldn't see when the others pitted. And then I got out, radioed to Tim, how are we looking? And he said we're in P1, whereas I thought I might have to try and fight my way past a couple. So from then on, just had to manage the traffic and stay out of trouble and try and get the fastest lap.
And am I right in saying that one of you got the fastest lap of the whole race?
Yeah, I think we just got the fastest lap by a couple of tenths, so it's another point for that. So we're trying to claw back this championship, so we couldn't have done much better points-wise.
And how about you, Terence? How was your half of the race?
It was good. I haven't had much running here, so I feel like I'm learning as I'm going along. But no, really good. Managed to hang on to Phil. Thought he was driving really well. And then I think he had a bit of a slow in lap because he was a little way in front of me on the circuit, but when we came in, I was right behind him. So I think he must have got held up with some traffic. And
where are you for race 2? Where are you qualified?
I'll be starting pole for the next race, so need to get a good start.
Huge congratulations, Sean. You got from qualified 4th up to 2nd, and you were 2nd out, so how did your part of the race go?
Well, my stint was fairly uneventful, to be honest. I mean, I always knew Ross was going to, take any beating. Not that I was trying, obviously. Traffic was very difficult. The SR3 class is so harshly fought, that them boys are having their own race. You've got to respect that. So I was being careful where I chose to overtake. Seemed to have Roger in P3 sort of fairly comfortable. So, well, we need points. We're leading the UK Championship for the Masters. So it's good points, good race. Yeah, good.
Guys, you started in pole and had an absolutely cracking start to that race. Phil, you were flying around there in your half of the race.
Yeah, that was my plan. As you interviewed me just before we started, I said that my 17-year-old son has actually led more Radical race laps than I have, so I've taken a bit of a lead from him, really.
And what happened then, Roger?
Well, obviously Phil came in and in first place, handing over to me. So I assumed that when the guides told me to go, there'll be no cars in front of me, but somehow there was a whole bunch of them. So we'll have to look at that and see what quite happened there. But from then on, it was just a case of trying to catch up with Sean, who was in front of me, and just getting around the traffic. But the track got quite slippy towards the end.
Still, third is pretty good. Are you happy with it overall?
Oh, it's great day, beautiful circuit, fantastic racing. Who couldn't be happy at that? Anywhere on the grid. If you have a race like that, you just got to be happy.
Almost time for the start of race 2 here at Donington Park. Roger Green, who was the combination with Phil Abbott in race 1, who did really well, actually has to start from the back of the grid because he wasn't here yesterday to qualify. Should be interesting to see whether he manages to make it up to the front. Well, it seems that Roger Green has done it, and having started at the very back of the grid because he didn't qualify, he's now made it up to third place and is very much in contention to win. So we're going to have to see how that one pans out. Now, there are only around 4 minutes until the pit window opens and the drivers can come in to do the driver changeovers. Now, if it's anything like race 1, it's going to be a pretty crazy affair. Everybody seems to come in all at the same time, so we better get down to the pit lane to catch the first drivers in. Having qualified 4th and having had such a disappointing first race, not even being able to start, Manhal Alos, after the driver changeover, is now in the lead with Terence Woodward and Ross Kaiser's car number 88 following as second. Rob, you seem a bit disappointed with that first half.
Well, no, the first stint went really well in terms of pace. We had the pace, managed to get a gap. We led from our class, so that was really good. But unfortunately, a safety car went and took away all our lead that we had. We had like a 3-4 second gap, pitted under the safety car, and now because of the way the pit stops work, we slipped back to 5th. So David's got a bit of hard work to do, I think.
You qualified on pole and had a fantastic first half of the race. Talk to me.
I had a pretty decent first stint. Obviously, we had 2 safety cars, which made it tricky. The way the grading works with the drivers, Terence and I class as an A grading and a B, so we have to stop 5 seconds longer than, say, a B and a B or a B and a C. So I needed to get the gap, really, so that on the pit stop we could then have half a chance. And obviously, the first safety car made it tough, managed to eke out a little bit of a gap, but then the second safety car, just before the pit lane window opening, meant that we pitted together, so Manhal jumped us in the pit lane. So it's making it a tough stint for Terence.
And how's Terence doing out there now?
He's doing a good job. He's holding on to second, but I think Manhal's got a pretty sizable gap. So as long as Manhal keeps it in the right direction and doesn't have any problems, he can pretty much cruise it to victory, I think.
Roger, what a fantastic result for that first half of the race. You started right at the back of the grid.
Yeah, I did, yeah. Just decided to go for it, really, basically. Every time there was a gap, I put the car in there, and it seemed to work out, because I think I come around the end of the first lap in 9th place. Then we had a safety car, which kind of bunched everybody back up again. So when we went green again, I was able to pick a few more off. So, yeah, it was tremendously exciting. And I just wanted to get to the front as quickly as I could to get behind the other 2 SR8s that are at the front there, and then just at least maintain the gap, maybe chip into it a little bit as much as we can before the pit stop. So yeah, it worked out well. The car was absolutely brilliant.
Alex, you had a really great first half of that race, didn't you? Making it from 5th up to 2nd.
Yeah, we had a bit of a nightmare in qualifying yesterday. Only managed to get 5th on the grid, but then had a good start and managed to get past 3 people, get up to the back of Rob. Then the safety car came out just before the pit window, so we pitted under the safety car. Unfortunately, we had a problem with the belt buckle when we were changing drivers, and we lost 40 seconds in the pit stop, so now we've gone down to about 10th, I think. But Pete's doing well out there. He's catching up. He's driving really well today, so hopefully we'll make up some places now, but I don't think we're going to make back for the whole 40 seconds.
You were in 4th on the grid, so talk to us about how you managed to make it up to 1st.
Okay, yeah, I was in P4, but somehow started in P3 because Roger Green and Phil Abbott started actually from the back because Roger didn't register a lap yesterday. And so yeah, I was behind Roger, Sean Balfe and Ross Kaiser. Sean retired or came into the pits, and then I kept a safe distance, or a steady distance I should say, between myself and Ross. And then when the pits came in, I've got a 10-second advantage on them. So I overtook them in the pits and kept it going.
Brilliant. And where does that take you in terms of the championship standing?
Well, because of the first race scoring no points, I think I'll be lucky at the end of the year to finish second. I'm currently third, I'd imagine.
Maybe it give you even more determination to get there.
Oh, I'll definitely go for it at Snetterton.
Guys, you started at the back of the grid and managed to make it all the way up to third place. Really amazing result. How did you do it?
Well, it's a bit of a role reversal for this race. Roger did all the hard work this time from the back of the grid, as you said. He got up to third place, and all I had to do was maintain it, which was probably at my age all I could manage. But we've got our successful crew here that have prepared a brilliant car. There's Pinky and Mickey, and we're all having a great time.
And you've got your crew around you, guys. How was it for you? You know, were you really nervous, thinking they're not going to make it all the way up to the front?
With great drivers, you know you're going to get a good result. So yeah.
I'll pay you later.
And Roger, how about your part of the race? You obviously did quite a bulk of the work at the start.
Yeah, it was quite exciting, those first few laps, and I knew it was going to be. It's one of those ones where, you know, if you see a gap and you think you can make it, and without it closing, then you go for it, and it was a bit like that, and it kind of opened up for me in a couple of corners, so it just worked out perfectly.
Guys, another great result back on the podium. How did the race go for you?
It was hard work. They always are, you know, they're quite intense experiences driving a Radical, but no, really good. Ross did a fantastic stint as usual. I think we're a bit down on horsepower, looking at some of the speeds and the times, but Ross brought it in the lead. But then I think with the difference in the pit stops, Manhal got a good sort of lead after the pit stops, and that made it hard work after that.
Yeah, and that really was the changeover there, wasn't it?
Yeah, that really decided the race, I think. Obviously, I needed to get as much of a gap as I could. And like Terence said, we don't seem to quite have the pace we've had when we've come testing here, so we're struggling a little bit. And then obviously we're getting the safety car and pitting right together. That made it really tough for Terence's stint.
Timothy, you've had a very busy weekend racing in both the Clubman's and the UK Cup. How's it gone for you?
Well, the weekend went well yesterday, actually. In the Clubman's, I qualified 4th and 6th for the two races, which is a big step forward for me, so I'm quite pleased about that. Didn't perform quite so well in the races. Tried to overtake somebody on the outside of Redgate at one point and ran out of road, so that slowed me down a little bit. Redgate seems to be in my bête noire this weekend. But otherwise, good. And today, slightly disappointing because we had an engine problem. We missed the second race.
But you do have a very good-looking car, and I can't help but notice at the back there on the spoiler, take your own path. What does that mean?
Well, a lot of people ask me that. In fact, people wonder if I'm a particularly religious person. It's not actually the reason. Take Your Own Path is a campaign that Dell have arranged or organised. It's a sort of global campaign. And it's really about Dell's work with small, fast-growing companies where they provide a lot of technical support. And actually, Dell is a technical partner of my business, Pensions First. And we've done a lot of work with them the last few years where they've helped us really to understand our technology needs and to grow the business. And they've featured Pensions First in the Take Your Own Path campaign because they want to make the point they're a very big company, but they work with small companies and help them to grow. So they've been great partners of ours, and I'm really happy to carry their name on the car and really to show the sort of spirit of partnership between us. Yeah. I know that Dell, obviously Dell are supporters of me and the business, and my business, but also, of course, you'll have seen that they've just come back into motor racing with Lotus. So, they obviously like green cars, so if they want to put their name permanently on another green car, I've got one right here.
Well, that wraps up this weekend's racing for the Dunlop Radical UK Cup here at Donington Park. We hope that you've enjoyed watching, and we do hope that you'll be able to join us next time at Snetterton in October for the finale of this series. We'll see you there.